I accidentally took a job at a drug front and couldn't leave. I never expected to be the kind of guy who'd write one of these posts, the kind of post where you look back and think, how did I not see all the red flags? But I guess that's what desperation does to you. You stop reading the signs. Or maybe you just pretend they're not there, because hope is the only thing keeping you from crumbling. So here it is. The story of how I, a regular guy trying to pay rent and keep my head above water, ended up working for a company that was actually a drug front, and why I didn't leave even after I found out. Let's start with me. I'm 25. I graduated with a degree in marketing right in the middle of the economic slump. No connections, no savings, just debt and a resume that looked like every other broke kid's resume. I was working 2 jobs, a graveyard shift at a gas station and food delivery during the day, barely making enough to survive. There were nights I had to choose between gas or groceries. Then came Maven Solutions. The name sounded techie and vague, which is how all the best scams start, right? It was a hiring posting on a barely known hiring site. Marketing assistant needed for a rapidly growing logistics and tech startup. Flexible hours, great pay, opportunity to grow. The salary listed was double what I made working both jobs. No degree requirement, just basic computer literacy and a hunger for hustle. I applied, got a call back that same day. The interview. Their office was in a weird part of town. Not dangerous, just forgotten. Like one of those industrial zones that never got the facelift the rest of the city did. Inside, though, the place was clean, minimalist. Concrete floors, glass walls, motivational posters with words like hustle, vision, and ownership. My interviewer was a guy named Cade. Mid-30s, sharp suit, full sleeve tattoos that peeked out from under his cuffs. He didn't seem like a typical exec, but he had this confidence, this cool charm, like a guy who knew things you didn't. "You ever hustle before?" he asked. I told him about the gas station, the delivery gigs, the freelance marketing I tried to do online. He nodded like he respected that, like I was one of them. "Cool. That's all we need. Someone who knows how to grind. You start Monday." No paperwork, no CAX forms, just a burner phone, a black hoodie with the logo, and a start time. The work. It was simple, at first. I was assigned to the logistics team. My task? Pick up packages from a warehouse and deliver it to various addresses. Sometimes homes, sometimes alley drop-offs, sometimes just random lockers in sketchy parts of the city. I was told it was part of a new decentralized inventory strategy. I asked what was in the packages once. Cade smiled and said, "We sell lifestyle supplements. High-end stuff. Think brain boosters, mood stabilizers, pain relief. Not FDA approved, but who cares, right?" I should have walked then. But the pay was too good. I went from skipping meals to paying off credit cards and finally helping my mom with her medical bills. For the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't drowning. I didn't want to see the truth. Not yet. The first real red flag. One night, I was asked to drop off a package at 2 a.m. Weird, but whatever. I showed up at the location, an upscale apartment complex. I rang the number I was given, and a guy in his 50s opened the door, sweating bullets, eyes darting like a paranoid raccoon. He grabbed the package from me like it was his lifeline and slammed the door shut. 30 minutes later, I got a text from Cade. "Nice work tonight. Bonus coming your way." I didn't sleep that night. I just stared at the ceiling, heart pounding, brain running in circles. I knew. Deep down, I already knew. But I didn't quit. Why I stayed. I'm not proud of this. But you have to understand. My mom was behind on rent, her prescriptions were expensive, and my little sister was trying to finish nursing school. I was finally in a position to help, to breathe. So I made a deal with myself. 1 more month, just until things stabilize, then I'll quit. No harm done. But then the tasks got darker, riskier. More, not deliver this, more wait here for the buyer, or escort this guy to the drop-off. Sometimes I'd meet people who looked like they hadn't slept in weeks. Other times it was guys in suits who paid in cash and barely looked me in the eye. And every week Cade would call and say how impressed he was, that they were watching me, that they saw potential. At one point, I was brought into a meeting with 3 other guys and told we were being promoted to handlers. No more basic deliveries, we were trusted now. We were part of the real business. What that meant, we were given new phones, new IDs, and training on client interaction. It sounded legit on the surface, like something a consulting firm might do, except it wasn't. We were moving high-value narcotics across the city. It wasn't weed or anything small time. I'm talking fentanyl, oxy, even coke. And if that wasn't bad enough, some of the buyers were definitely not casual users. I remember one woman, maybe 30, clean clothes, expensive bag, who opened her door with a baby on her hip. She looked at me with these dead eyes and said, "You're early." I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. But I just handed her the package and left. That night, I vomited in my sink. My breaking point. It came 2 weeks later. Cade called me into his office and said they had a special task for me. There was a guy who hadn't paid up. I was to drive out, remind him who he owed, and collect. I asked what he meant by remind. He just looked at me. Didn't say a word. Just held eye contact. I nodded. Left the room. But as I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white, I made a decision. I was going to finish this job. Then I was going to burn this entire company to the ground.
Part 2. The assignment that broke me. The job that changed everything. The client, let's call him Miles, was apparently a high roller. He'd been buying a mix of uppers and opioids for months, always on time, always cash. But recently, he missed 2 payments. Cade said he just needed motivation. "You won't need to touch him," he said. "Just show up, remind him that we're not invisible. That's it." It sounded simple. Show my face, be scary, leave. But I knew how these things worked. Intimidation is a slippery slope. You start with a warning, then it's a threat, then it's a beating. And I wasn't that guy. Still, I agreed. Meeting Miles. Miles lived in a condo downtown, expensive building, fancy doorman. I expected some burnt-out finance bro or washed-up DJ. What I didn't expect was a guy in his late 40s, gray at the temples in pajamas and slippers, holding a mug of tea. He invited me in, said he'd been expecting someone sooner. His apartment smelled like lavender and dust. Classical music played softly in the background. It felt peaceful. We sat at his table. He poured me tea like I was an old friend. He said, "I assume you're here about the payment." I didn't respond, just watched. He said, "You know, I used to be part of the game, years ago. It always ends the same. Someone gets greedy, someone dies, someone rats. Then someone else writes the story like they're the victim." He looked at me, calm and tired. "I'm not scared of you. I'm just done." I told him I wasn't here to hurt him, just to deliver a message. He chuckled. "You think you're not part of this? That hoodie you're wearing? It's a target. You think people like Cade protect you?" He leaned in. "They don't. You're disposable. The minute you start thinking for yourself, you're a liability, and I'd wager you're already thinking." I left without saying another word. But that night, I couldn't sleep. Cracks in the armor. The next few days, I started asking questions, quietly. I talked to a guy in the warehouse, who we'll call him Kev, who used to handle packaging. I asked him how long he'd been there. He said too long. He told me that Maven Solutions was just one of 6 shell companies, all under one umbrella that technically didn't exist. Each company had different employees, different roles, different fake products, but all fed back into the same core operation. The real product was drugs. The real strategy was insulation. No one knew everything, just enough to do their part. So if someone got busted, the damage was minimal. Smart, but not unbreakable. Kev said he once tried to quit, got visited at his apartment 2 nights later. No threats, just a silent warning. A car idling outside. A knock at the door, then nothing. You don't leave, not unless you disappear. The plan. I realized if I was going to destroy this place, I couldn't do it from the outside. I had to gut it from the inside out. So I started documenting everything. Every delivery address, every buyer name, every phone call. I took pictures when I could, wrote down license plates, and created a secret spreadsheet under a fake email. I made backups, uploaded copies to cloud storage disguised as folders named wedding planning and tax documents, just in case. Then I started mapping the org chart, who reported to whom, who handed off what. I even figured out that Cade reported to someone else, someone none of us ever saw. And here's the wild part. It wasn't just street-level sales. They were laundering money through real e-commerce companies, health supplements, crypto trading platforms, even a quote-unquote wellness retreat company that had no actual retreat, just a fake website and Instagram page with stock photos of mountains and candles. The deeper I went, the more insane it got. An unexpected ally. One night I got a text from an unknown number. "You're playing a dangerous game." I froze. Then another text came seconds later. "Meet me at the diner on 5th, midnight. Come alone." I almost didn't go. But I did. Inside, in the last booth, sat a woman in a gray hoodie. She looked mid-30s, sharp eyes, tired face. She introduced herself as Marla. She'd worked for Maven 2 years ago, used to run financial transfers, quit after they asked her to clean up after a client overdose. "They offered me double to stay quiet," she said. "I took the money, but I've regretted it every day since." She'd been watching me, saw me asking questions, digging around. She told me she still had old files, proof, account numbers, receipts. We agreed to work together. It was the first time I didn't feel alone. The pressure builds. Cade started acting differently, paranoid, twitchy, like someone had tipped him off. He called me into his office and asked if I was feeling good about my place in the company. I smiled and said I was just grateful for the opportunity. He nodded. Then he slid an envelope across the table. Inside, $5,000 in cash. He said, "A bonus for loyalty." I nodded again, took the envelope, but inside my stomach turned. It wasn't a reward. It was a test. They were watching me now. The final push. Marla and I decided it was time. We compiled everything: bank statements, addresses, internal docs, delivery logs, even the metadata from old photos showing GPS stamps. Then we sent it all anonymously to 3 places: a local investigative journalist who had previously covered corporate fraud, a federal narcotics task force, and a Reddit moderator on reddit.com/crime who worked in law enforcement. We had confirmed this through prior AMA posts. We set up a Dropbox link, posted it as a whistleblower archive, and disappeared from our normal accounts. And then we waited.
Part 3. Burn it all down. The day everything went to hell. 3 days passed. Nothing. Then it all exploded. It started with a tweet. A local reporter posted, "Breaking. Federal task force raided a warehouse in the East Side Industrial District tied to Maven Solutions. More updates to come." I nearly dropped my phone. That was one of our warehouses. I recognized the address instantly. Within the hour, it was on every local news site. Helicopter footage, black SUVs, agents in jackets with big yellow letters. One guy getting dragged out in cuffs with a hoodie over his face. It didn't stop there. 2 more warehouses, 3 shell offices, multiple homes raided. A few low-level guys got arrested. And then Cade. That was the moment I knew it worked. The fallout begins. You'd think I'd feel vindicated, proud even, but what I felt was pure, shaking panic. Because I still worked there. I hadn't quit. I hadn't fled. I was still walking into that building every morning like nothing had changed. And now it was only a matter of time before someone connected the dots. Sure enough, 2 days after the raid, the office atmosphere went cooled. Phones were being wiped, boxes packed, people whispering in corners. Cade was gone, obviously, arrested and denied bail. But someone else took his place. A guy named Joel, supposedly from corporate, who started running one-on-one interviews. I got called in. The interview. Joel looked mid-40s, graying at the temples, thin. The kind of guy who smelled like cologne and fear. He didn't ask me much, just, "You were close with Cade. You ever notice anything strange? You didn't talk to anyone outside?" I kept my answers short, neutral, boring. Then he slid a folder across the desk. It had a picture inside. Of me, walking out of Miles's apartment, the client I was sent to remind. "You handled this well," Joel said, smiling slightly. "That's why you're still here." Still here. Like a reward. I left the room dizzy. They were testing loyalty, sorting out who to keep. I realized I wasn't safe. I never was. Vanishing act. That night, I called Marla, told her I was done. "They know something. I'm leaving town." She didn't argue. She said she was doing the same. We agreed to wipe everything. No contact, no trace. I packed what little I had, deleted all my socials, burned the burner phones, took a bus out of state with $3,800 cash, all I had left after rent and bills. I left a fake resignation email. "Due to a family emergency, I'll be leaving Maven Solutions immediately. Thank you for the opportunity." It felt ridiculous, but part of me needed the closure. The arrests roll in. Over the next month, I watched from a distance. Motels, borrowed Wi-Fi, and news alerts. Cade flipped, turned state's witness to reduce his sentence. He gave them names, locations, and details. The entire pyramid started crumbling. Joel? Arrested, trying to flee the country. The CEO of the wellness retreat company, found in Mexico and extradited. Even Kev, the warehouse guy who once said, "You don't leave," was arrested, but later released as a cooperating witness. The dominoes just kept falling. Then they named the whistleblower. One morning, scrolling through Reddit on a burner phone, I saw a thread blowing up. r/news. Anonymous whistleblower credited with tipping off major drug front investigation. Someone had leaked the memo. The feds knew the tip didn't come from a reporter. It came from an insider, someone who knew enough to map the operation, someone who wanted out. They didn't name me, but it was easy to read between the lines. I panicked, shut everything down again. I moved, switched identities, took cash gigs under fake names, painting fences, cleaning pools, just enough to eat and sleep. I kept wondering if I'd ever get caught, not by the feds, but by someone from the old world, someone who slipped through the cracks. I kept dreaming about Joel or Cade or some ghost from that past finding me in some alley and saying, "You ruined everything." So where am I now? It's been almost a year. I live in a different state. I rent a tiny room in a stranger's house. My name isn't my name. My job? I deliver groceries. It's boring, but honest. The craziest part, the money I got from them, the bonus, I donated it, every cent. I didn't want it in my hands. I didn't want to carry their stain. Marla and I haven't spoken since. I hope she's okay. Sometimes I think about messaging her, but we both agreed no contact. Not ever. Was it worth it? I destroyed a criminal empire, helped get over 30 people arrested. But I lost everything else. My job, my safety, my identity, my peace of mind. And yet, I'd do it again. Because every night I sleep knowing I got out. I stopped them. I didn't let them win. I don't know if I'll ever feel safe again, but I feel clean. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough.